Hey guys, it's Mike coming to you live from the Backyard Oasis here in sunny Dallas, Texas. And it's really not sunny, and it's cold. It's probably like 50 degrees out here, and it's raining, so hooray for that. I got a new little toy in the mail the other day. Had a little Christmas money left over, so I had to buy something with it that was camera related. So we're going to talk about it tonight. Let's do it. Godox XT1 F TTL wireless flash trigger. I was trying to read it backwards, and then I got tripped up by all this stuff right here, and that was blowing my mind. It's a flash trigger. It's a flash trigger for Godox flashes, so we'll do a little unboxing here. Pseudo unboxing. I already unboxed it once before, but just so you can see what's in here. Came with this little, I don't know, lens cleaner thing. And in true Godox fashion, it's super cheap plastic packaging. But that's okay, you get what you pay for with that. The trigger is in here. Let's pull this trigger out. Okay, so check out this trigger. This is a pretty cool trigger. It's very lightweight. Runs off 2 AA batteries here in the bottom compartment, which I can't get off of here, so I'm not going to take it off. Because I want to be able to work it, make it do its thing. Very simple. It's got a test button on the top. It's got your hot shoe mount there. It's got another one on the top that's a pass-through, so you can mount a flash on top. And then to turn it on the side, you have switches here, and you've got one that operates the infrared in the front, and one that just operates the trigger. And there it is. It's turned on. Hopefully you can see that. If you notice, this thing scrolls up and down. See if I can get that. There you go. Now you can see it. So this thing scrolls up and down and lets you set different flash groups if that's what you're into and you want to do that kind of stuff. These different buttons here operate the things over here. They take a lot of getting used to, and in true Godox fashion, the manual for these things is ridiculously, oh my god, that's so blown out. The manual for these is ridiculously hard to read because it is taken from a Chinese or Japanese language translated to English, so the sentences don't really make sense, and there's just not a lot of I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. Also, the menu systems on these things are not very intuitive, so you got to kind of play around with them to get it set right the way you want. So let's talk about that for a second. This thing was a pain in the ass to get set up. So I bought the original, I brought the X Pro Godox flash trigger, which has it's like a screen on the top, and it's slanted and it's really fancy looking. I bought it based on the recommendation I saw on Amazon Prime. So I went to Amazon Prime, I looked up my flash, and then this has never let me down before. Also bought with that whole little section where it's like people bought this flash, also bought this. That trigger was in there, the X Pro trigger. So I bought it. It was like 70 bucks, 80 bucks, something like that, shipped. So I got it to me, opened it up, set it up to where it would work, set up my flash so it would work, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And guess what? Nothing worked. It wouldn't trigger anything, so I wasn't sure what was going on. And just to kind of talk through that a little bit, let me turn on this flash. So we're talking about the Godox TT350 F for Fuji. And again, if you can see in here, you have to have this in the little radio mode here, and you have to have it in slave mode as well to be able to have it communicate. You have to have it also on the right channel, so it has to have the right channel, and the grouping. That all has to match up with what's on this guy here, which, let's just say there's a problem with this one. I didn't use it for a second. It still turned on, and it turned itself off. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. I'm sure there's a setting I can go in and adjust to get it to work again. But even when I do that, it doesn't come back on. So there we go, I got it back on. So you have to match all these things up. So if you're in group A on your trigger, you need to be in group A on your flash. If you have channel 1 on your flash, you need to also have channel 1 on here. Just beware, it runs on 2.4 gigahertz wireless signal. So old school, you know, telephone, wireless telephone technology. Couple things to remember about that. If you ever had to pair those phones up with their base units or anything like that, you couldn't have them this close together. you actually needed to move them farther apart. Sorry, I got a low battery there. You have to move these further apart from each other, so a couple of meters actually, so other side of the room or something like that to get them to work sometimes. You can actually set these the X Pro into a different mode that allow it to work closer together. This one luckily didn't have to have that problem. However, after I turned this thing on, I got it, put the batteries in it, I was super psyched, ready to go, hit the test button. You see how it flashes in? It didn't do that the first time. So I was like, well, crap, did I buy a dud? I got another dud, or am I not doing something right? So I went on the website, I went everywhere, looked for all the information, couldn't find any information online about what to do once you have everything properly set up, how to actually troubleshoot the syncing aspects of what's going on. Sorry, there's a skunk over here somewhere. Make sure my dog doesn't eat it. She's done that before. No fun. No fun. Not at all. No. Yeah. Tomato juice doesn't work. There's a whole formula thing out there that's not tomato juice based. If you ever get skunked, don't use tomato juice. It doesn't work. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. So you have this whole thing set up. It's got everything's working. All the settings are right, but there's nothing that says this is how you troubleshoot whether or not this is working, what to do. Let me give you a hint. Firmware. Who freaking knew, man? So these things don't have matching firmware on them, and you have to get matching firmware on these two devices to get them to work together. So what I had to do was go to the Godox website, and I found this flash model and this giant page, a list of firmware executables and all this other kind of stuff. Downloaded the firmware. Then I went and I was like, well, crap, I got to do it for this too. So I downloaded the firmware for this one. And then I use a Mac, because I'm a Mac guy. I downloaded all the stuff. I downloaded the updater. It was on RAW files. So I extracted all those. It's an exe file. So I can't run an exe file on my Mac because I don't have Parallels. I don't have Windows on there. So anyways, so I go to their website, back to their website. They have a Mac OS version updater on there that allows you to plug in and then communicate to the devices and then call the firmware and then flash the device with the firmware. I tried to do that. It doesn't work. So I don't know if it's because I'm on Catalina or something like that, I think is the version of Mac that I'm on right now. So anyways, it didn't work, and you know, whatever. So I had to elicit help. Luckily my sister lives close by. She's got a laptop, PC laptop, so I called her. She came over, helped me load this thing up, do the exe file on there, load the whole stupid program on there, flash these things. It says it's done. It says this one's done. I don't know how the hell to check whether or not what the firmware versions were on here originally, what they are. It didn't say on the device. I flashed them both, and then as soon as I was done, it worked. So it flashed. It started flashing. So beware. All your firmware stuff, you gotta have the latest and greatest firmware on these things, which is really annoying to have to do. But you know, it is what it is. I guess this was made after this. I didn't buy these at the same time. I bought this like a year ago. And just as a thing, you know, I've been using this for a year. This flash. It's amazing. I love this flash. It was super cheap. It's super lightweight, and it works. It works really well, and I've always had it mounted on my camera and working on my camera. I don't like the way those photos look, but I didn't have the money to buy this. I didn't have any extra cash for that. So I've been using it on the camera, and like I said, it's working great. I use it for mostly just indoor at our house and other people's houses and things like that, for birthday parties and, you know, light stuff. You know, I did some office work one time and shot an office opening and things like that. So it works great. This is not a very powerful flash. So putting this remotely somewhere and firing it off with this, it's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to probably have to get several of these flashes, which aren't too bad because they're under, you know, they're 90 bucks roughly with tax and shipping, each of these, which is super cheap. I'll probably need to get a couple more of these to fire off to get some of the cool effects I'm trying to get with these. You know, I'm doing like off-camera stuff where I really want to just like mount it in some places and have people interact around it and fire off the shot that way. I really don't have it set up like a studio or anything like that, so it's mostly just for artsy-fartsy fun stuff, you know, like, whatever, you know, hey. Just a word for the wise. If you're a professional, trying to be a professional, and you're trying to get by on the cheap, I would not ever rely on these things 100% for a paid shoot. You should not rely on these for paid shoots. If you do, you need to have a whole set of these backup. So if you need 3 of these and 1 of these to do your shoot, you should have 2 of these and 6 of these so that you have them as backup for the whole thing. This thing, for some reason, has kind of like been really cantankerous one time on the pins. When I got it onto my Fuji, I got it in there and, you know, it didn't want to work. So additionally, just one last little feature I didn't talk about on this trigger. It has different settings for how you want to manage the stuff. So you can do TTL, so through the lens. You can set it on manual as well as turn it off. So anyways, it supports I think like A, B, C, D, E, up through E worth of channels, or groupings, sorry. It's 32 channels if you need to. This is only 16 channels, so you can only go up through 1 through 16. If there's other people around you or you're getting interference or things like that, then you got to change the channels on these things to make it work. So anyways, that's it, man. The X1T F for Fuji. Make sure you get the one that works with your stuff. You don't want the one that works for Canon, because I don't believe these are cross compatible. I don't think that if you have a Canon version of this that it'll work with the Fuji version of this. Prove me wrong, please. Also, it's got the infrared trigger if you got an older flash, or if maybe you need to just use the infrared on this one and you don't want to use the wireless if you're having issues with wireless. But you know, who the hell wants to use that? That's really old technology. Anyways, that's all I got. You guys will be awesome. Thanks for watching. Go buy one of these. Go experiment. Take your flash off your camera. Set it off somewhere. Take some shots. See what happens. Alright? You guys be awesome. Take it easy.